Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So Jeffrey Epstein allegedly is still alive. There's a picture going around the internet, and it's going wild at the moment. So I've just spelled. Hang on, I've spelled Epstein right. EPST. Sorry, guys, I've spelled that wrong. Let's get a T in there. So Jeffrey Epstein allegedly is still alive. There's a picture going around the internet, and I'm going to be giving you guys some analysis of that picture. I'm going to tell you what I think. And before I get into this, one of the things I just want to say is last year, and I've said this a few times, I've said we are going to get to a point where we don't actually know what's real anymore, right? And I think this may be one of those cases. So with artificial intelligence, with, you know, this, like these photorealistic generations, it's virtually, I mean, it really is, guys, it's virtually impossible to be able to tell what is real and what is not real. So I am going to be talking about that today, guys. I'll be sharing that picture with you, and I'll see if there's any everybody's going to be focusing on this picture, on the image of Jeffrey Epstein, right? But I'm going to see if there's any clues around that picture that people may have missed. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I will share this with you guys pretty soon. But before we get onto that, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my stuff. If you're watching and you've not done so already, please hit those buttons down below, because that really helps me out. So, well, without further ado, let me just find this picture, and then I will share it with you, and then we'll try and go through this together. And if anybody's got, like, listen, I don't know, I really don't know, but if this is right, if Jeffrey Epstein is still alive, like, you can't deny that, like, the Israeli security forces are like to pull that job off. That is a phenomenal job to be able to pull off. So let's just get this out. Let's just get this. Let's just share this picture. Which one is it? Is it that one? Yeah, that one. Right. So and if you can hear, right, in the background dripping, it's because I've got a hole in my roof, and I need to redo the whole roof. So I've got the buckets in the background, and you'll just hear dripping, literally. Like if I'm looking at something and you can hear ka-joop, 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 and it sounds like I'm in a swimming pool, then that's because I've got a leaky roof. Right, this is the picture in general. So what can we tell from this picture? First of all, so for those of you guys who don't know, this picture's been going around the internet. It's all over. There's lots of people sharing it. Now, I've seen another image, and it's got like a little Gemini. It's got a little Gemini in the bottom corner. Now, here's the thing, right? Hang on. Boggy, where's it been debunked? Boggy, where's it been debunked? Can you tell me where it's been debunked, mate? So first of all, I've seen this same picture, and it's got like the little Gemini AI thing in the bottom corner. Now, I've done a live stream on this, and I've talked about this, and I've said, look, we are going to be I literally said these exact same words, right? I said, we are going to be in a situation where the only thing that tells us whether a picture is AI or not is a little stamp at the bottom in one of the corners. And now, listen, guys, as far as I'm like, do you think that the intelligence service has the ability? Do you think the intelligence service has the ability to generate an AI picture without that stamp on it? Or do you think that, like, oh, it's got an AI stamp on it, it must be AI, or are you going down that road? I don't know. So let's have a look what I can tell from this picture. So first of all, I'm looking at these two bodyguards, right? Left and right, you've got one with a gray jacket, one with a black jacket, both wearing jeans. I'm gonna try and see what I can find on those. I mean, they certainly look the part, right? you know, those two guys, they look the part. They've not got their hands in their pockets. They've got their jackets open, which is what bodyguards would do, because he's probably got a pistol. You know, he's almost certainly got a pistol round the side of him. They look about the right age. They look about the right build. People think that bodyguards are these big, tough, you know, massive men. They're not. Like, you know, these big, muscle-bound bodyguards, like, what do you think they can do? Like, honestly, like, these two guys here, left and right, if this is true, and I'm just wondering why the bodyguards' faces are out of focus, but Epstein, the alleged Epstein's fake face is in focus. So I don't know. I'm just looking at their right legs, and they've almost got the same. It looks like there's something in their right pocket. Maybe that's a phone or an SOP or something, but that looks okay. So people think that bodyguards are like these big, huge men. They're absolutely not. Bodyguards, you know, at government, you know, celebrities, they will have a huge man. Those guys are ridiculous. They can't do anything. They're silly. These two guys here, they will, you know, they're probably, if this is a legit picture, they're probably, you know, Israeli special forces, ex-military, and I'll come back onto that in a second. You know, these guys have got vast training in all sorts of tactics, all sorts of weapons. They understand how the Israeli government works. They understand how the military works. They can call in assets. You know, they've got all those connections and that ability, and they're smart. Now, I'm going to say something now that I don't know if anybody's noticed or not. Can you see how they're walking, the bodyguards? They are perfectly in step. Look at their feet, right? They are perfectly in step. When you're military or ex-military, it's honestly, and I don't know why, it's virtually impossible not to walk in step with people. It honestly, like you can spot military miles away, because like literally, if you see three guys in the military and they're walking, they'll be walking, and they will all their feet, their legs will be moving exactly the same. This is just one of those things that happens when you're in the military, because you do a lot of marching, you do a lot of, well, if you get to like special forces unit, you'll be doing no marching, but you still do a lot of running in squads. So when you're running in a squad, you have to run at the same pace. So the man in front of you, his leg goes forward, your leg goes forward. You know, it's left, right, you know, so it's very difficult when you leave the military to not walk in step. So that gives it credibility. So I've looked at this picture, and there's more pictures around about you know, images of Epstein. I'm just going to pull this one up here. Can I zoom in? Hang on, let me see if I can zoom in on the. I think that'll be okay. So if you look at this image, if you look at his nose, how it like slightly goes down at the end, and how his ear has that little lip on the ear. Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in. But it does look very similar to me. It looks really similar. So for me, I think it's either AI, a good AI, or he's there. And look, guys, we are in 2026 now. I don't take anything off the cards, literally nothing off the cards. So that's the image that's going around the internet at the moment. People are saying that Epstein's alive. I'm going to, you know, the image of the alleged Epstein, you know, I can't, there's nothing I can say that says that's not him. Nothing. I'm curious as to why the faces of the bodyguards are distorted and Epstein's in perfect focus. This writing here, Tel Aviv, I mean, why would they be doing that, right? Why would they be walking across the road there? How did that picture get taken? Who took that picture, and how did it get released? Like, I don't know if these places really exist. It'd be interesting. I don't know if I think we've got some Silly Gallardi. I don't know if she's on, but she lives in Israel. I don't know if this is an actual place and this is a sign. Again, you know, it could all be smoke and mirrors. Who knows? One thing that we do know, when something happens, people throw a load of fake material out to discredit it. So, for example, if there's a rumor that Jeffrey Epstein's alive, people throw out a load of fake images that are easily debunked. And then when the real images come up, they'll go, oh, yeah, that's all been debunked. So, right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are, the signs are gibberish. I don't know. What how do you speak? Do you speak? I don't know. Stille is saying you should really check the recordings we heard. It's very dark. What recordings, Silly? What recordings are you talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, if you're joining for the first time, there's an image going around on the internet. Everybody's sharing it, saying that Jeffrey Epstein's alive. First of all, I'm going to say, I don't know. We are in a world right now where nobody knows what's real anymore because of artificial intelligence, right? These AI generated images, they are photorealistic. And we are, I would say we're already there. We are at a stage now, and you know, whether this picture's real or not, I think whether this picture's real or not, the key to this is it looks right. It looks realistic, right? It looks realistic. So, and it looks legitimate. You know, I can't debunk it. You know, I don't know enough information to be able to debunk this. What I'm going to say is, as time moves forwards, AI is going to get better and better and better. And at some point, we just won't be able to know. We just won't be able to know what is real and what's not real. Now, that is a big problem. For example, if something really bad happens and somebody's got some pictures, and Keir, you know, and then Keir or whoever, I'm saying Keir Starmer, right? Like it's going to be Keir Starmer. If something really bad happens and somebody takes pictures, how do we, you know, and the government come out and say, oh, that didn't really happen, that's AI. Oh, right, okay, that's AI, it's being debunked. The government said, you see where we are? We're in this really weird place where nobody knows what's real anymore. And Silly is saying the recording of Eid Barak talking to Epstein. You see, I heard that, but I don't think that was that bad. So there's this video of Ed Barak, who is I think he's like, he's retired Israeli intelligence, and he's phoning up Epstein and asking for a job. And maybe I missed something on that, but I don't think that was, you know, I don't think that was, I don't know what else it was. Debbie Doobs is saying, has anyone seen The Island in the Stream song parody with Starmer Mandelson? Oh, God. This is what I mean. AI is out of control at the moment. Like, I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know what's real anymore. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to revisit that Epstein picture again later on in the live stream, but I just want to jump over to something that's happening now, and this was released 9 hours ago. So the number of migrants that are now living homeless in the United Kingdom has soared to, I think, 20,000. Let me just jump on this quickly. Number of homeless refugees in England. So this is in England, not Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. There will be different numbers. Number of homeless refugees in England soars, the BBC finds. So let's have a look at these numbers. There we are. So government data for England showed a rise from 3,500 in 21-22 to 19, just under 20,000, 19,310 in 24-25. So you can imagine that number is going up, right? It's clearly going up. So from these numbers, right, I'm going to say 20,000, right? Because 20,000 is just easier for me to, when I'm doing Raven maths, 20,000, it's easier for me to work out. So we now have, according to this article, I'm not going to read the article. I just want to share this to let you guys know where I'm getting the information from. So we have 20,000, just under 20,000 homeless migrants living in the United Kingdom. How difficult, this is a question, how difficult do you think it would be to get those people to commit crime? Like, if you're a homeless migrant, right, how difficult do you think it would be to tell them, you know, to convince them to go and, I don't know, take someone's house, take someone's house while they're on holiday, take someone's house while they're at the shop, take someone's house while they're in it? How difficult do you think it would, and how do you think the police would cope with 20,000 men? I'm going to assume they're men. 20,000 homeless migrants now who are, I can only assume, living wild in the United Kingdom. I was talking the other day, apparently there's camps in Sherwood Forest. Migrant camps, tented camps in Sherwood Forest. Now, this goes back to what I was saying December when I went to France. When you see this, right? When you see this with your own eyes, there's not words, right? There isn't words. There's can you imagine now? You've got all these homeless migrants, the weather like this. Where's the incentive for these people not to commit crime? Can you imagine opening your window one morning, right? And I don't know, like you're an old lady, you're an old lady. Your husband's left. By left, I mean he's departed to the nether region, to the other side. He's gone. He's transcended into a beam of light, and he's soaring in the universe. But can you imagine, right? You're an old lady. You have lived in your house in one of these little villages. That is where it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming to one of these little villages. The cities, they're already gone. The cities are already lost. Makes no sense. Do you see now how the cities have been conquered and now they're coming after the countryside? Do you see that? City's gone, forget about it. They're coming after the countryside. So that's why I'm saying this is where it's coming. So can you imagine you're an old lady, you're living in a house somewhere, your husband, your kids have left home, and your husband tragically 2 years ago, he had an experimental medication and he didn't come back from it or whatever. And you open you've lived in that house all your life, and you open your curtains. You've got a tent in your garden, and there's 6 African men who decide that that's their garden now. Like, how are you going to how does that scenario play out? How does it play out? Here in the United Kingdom, we literally are the arsehole right now. We are the arsehole because everything is just getting shit here, right? We're the toilet. We're not the arsehole. We're the toilet. We're worse. France, Calais is the arsehole. Calais is the arsehole, right? And Calais is shitting on us, right? They're coming over from Calais and they are shitting here. Where do they go from here? There's nowhere, we don't have a flush button. So when I talk about civil conflict, the numbers are mounting. Critical mass has already been reached, and it's only a matter of time before this goes bonkers. It might be this year, it might be this summer, it might be next summer. Can you imagine now, right? Imagine you've got a camp, right? Sherwood Forest, right? Because allegedly there's a migrant camp in Sherwood Forest. Wild migrants, just little. Maybe they're gonna. I mean, listen. Maybe they've got like bows and arrows. They probably will have bows and arrows, and they're gonna be. How do you get them out of that forest? What are you gonna do if there's 1,000 of them? We don't have the policing capacity to do that. What if there's 5,000? What if there's 20,000? It's virtually impossible. It's virtually impossible, guys, to to remove this sort of stuff. Just seen it. Oh, what have you just seen? What? Gone Commando, what have you just seen? Oh, hang on. Something about an... Oh, God. Hang on. Right, hang on. I'm just I'm just getting this up from The Guardian. Okay, so I'm just going to share this because yeah, I'll just share this now. So this is an old article. Well, it's not an old article. The guy's just been sentenced. Why is it taken so long? So man who stabbed 9-year-old in Lincolnshire found guilty. Family of Layla Valtuti, I think Valutut, killed by Davidas Sekabas. Let's have a... give me a second. I'm just trying to find who this guy is. So I think so. This is who Lincolnshire police are saying. Okay, right. So I'm getting this from Lincolnshire police now. So today, Davidas Skibabis, or whatever his name is there, has been convicted of murder convicted of murder 3.5 years after he stabbed. It's just like, I can't even... The girl was playing with her hula hoop outside when the attack took place. Fuck. He was considered unfit to stand trial due to mental health issues. Instead, there was a trial held in 2023 where he was found responsible. He was sentenced to indefinite hospital order until he was deemed well enough to stand trial. Right, okay. I mean, he's clearly not British, right? Sakigabath. Right, I'll have to look into this more and see where he and see where that guy came from. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining for the first time, we are talking about Epstein lives. Have I spelt that wrong? We are talking about Epstein lives. There's a picture on the internet that allegedly shows Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I've been trying to analyze that picture as best I can. What I'm going to say from the get-go is something I've said previously. We're in a world right now where we do not know what's real. We don't know what's real. Now, oh, hang on. This is the picture I wanted to share. Right, this is the picture I wanted to share. You get a better... Right, give me a second. So if you look at his ear, if you look at like that bottom lip of his ear and the the structure of his nose, I don't know. Basically, the ear structure is the same. The lips appear to be the same. So does the nose, right? The hair color is the same. if this was some sort of Israeli special forces operation, probably the most daring mission that I've ever heard of. Or it may have just been done at such a high government level, then it doesn't really matter. Somebody comes in, they say, right, Jeffrey, come on, mate, we need to get you out of here. Yeah, we're going to fake your death, mate, and get you back to Israel. Who knows? Who knows? But we are, whether the picture's real or not, I've no idea. You know, I've heard people saying, oh, it's been debunked because there's another picture of it with the Gemini timestamp on it. I'm like, really? Really? Are we saying, is that what people are saying? You know, is that what people are saying, that the, you know, is that what we're saying, that the government, that a government that has the ability to take, right, governments that have the ability to fake someone's death and remove them from the prison, they do not have the ability to put a Gemini AI stamp on something. It's absurd. It's absurd. But either way, whether this picture's legitimate or whether it's not, I don't know. We are in that phase of reality now, you know, where we don't know what's real. You know, where we don't know what's real. We have no idea what's real. And we are going to be at that stage very soon where something really bad's going to happen. Somebody's going to take a pic. Like, where's my phone? It's in my pocket. You know, I'll take a picture with my phone. I'll share it, and then somebody will just add a little bit on the bottom and put an AI stamp on it and say, "Oh no, that picture's AI." So we are there now. I mean, I think we're there now where we don't know what's real. Hang on. Somebody's just put about their... Somebody just put about their... There we go. So Lolo is saying the gap between both bodyguards' legs is literally exactly the same. It's AI. Right, Lolo, I spoke about this. Let me get the big picture up. Is it that one? Where's it gone? Sure, there we are. Right, let me get this picture up and let me share it again with you. So I did mention this earlier. So lol is saying it's AI because the step on the bodyguard's feet are identical. I was actually using that step and said that's one of the things where I think it's more credible, because these bodyguards, if you're in charge of Epstein, you are, you know, look, I don't know if this is true, but if you are in charge of that, if you're his bodyguard or his minder, you are going to be like the top tier special forces, and you're going to be in a special forces unit that doesn't even have a name, right? That kind of operation. And if you are in those high ranks, you're going to be ex-military. You are. There's no denying that. You're going to be ex-military with a lot of experience, all right? They will be trusted. They will be trusted people, right? Now, you don't get that experience by filling out forms. You don't get that experience by, you know, online courses. If these are, you know, legitimate bodyguards, these guys will, you know, ex-military, they know how the Israeli government works. They know how the military works. I don't know. They will know everything. And it's very difficult it's very difficult when you're ex-military not to walk in step. Honestly, it's virtually impossible. If you see 3 or 4 military guys or ex-military guys, they're all walking in step. It's virtually impossible. When you go onto these courses, if you do like an, I don't know, like covert surveillance course or something in the UK, they'll tell you. And you have to train not to walk in. It's real, and it's almost, it's like, it's one of the hardest things you have to do, because you're constantly trying to like not walk in step with the person next to you. It's almost impossible to do. It just is. So that was actually one of the things I said was a reason why I think the picture could be legitimate. Look, guys, I don't know. What I do know is a few things happen. When rumors start to circulate, a few things happen. If there's, it's called misinformation, right? So, for example, if there's a UFO picture, right? There's a UFO picture of X, all right? And the UFOs are over there, and let's forget it, right? Let's just use Epstein because that's what we're talking about, right? Let's just say that there is a legitimate picture somewhere of Jeffrey Epstein, right? And he's been caught on camera. If you wanted to discredit that picture, what you would do is you would then release a load of other pictures that can be debunked. And then what you do then is you debunk everything at once. You see where I'm going with that? I've seen this so many times. I've seen it a lot with the UFOs and the UAP stuff. I debunk a lot of the stuff myself. So that's one way of discrediting something, right? I get a picture. I get a perfect picture of Jeffrey Epstein, right? I get a perfect picture of him. I send it in. The government's like, oh God, right, that picture's being released. Right, okay, let's use AI to get that picture, take the bottom, use AI to add a little bit more on the bottom and put an AI stamp on it. Yeah, that's the first one we do to discredit the picture. Then we send a load of other fake pictures out there so people discredit it. And then everything that gets discredited in the same, everything gets discredited together. What's the one? There's one crop circles. Crop circles is a perfect one. Crop circles is the perfect example of this, right? You get these crop circles that are beautiful geometric patterns that appear within maybe even minutes. Nobody knows. And then people say, "Oh yeah, crop circles have been debunked. It's just two blokes with a board out the pub." And people don't. You're like, "Whoa, stop! Right? Yeah, that's the circle ones. How do they do the others? How do they bend all the crops? So you debunk it. You use people to debunk it or to fake it, and then everybody just puts it in the same category, right?" So lol, well, with the gap between the bodyguard's legs is literally exactly the same. It's AI. I could argue, and I did argue, that the gap between the bodyguards, because they're in the exact same step, that means they're ex-military, and it's very hard to, so maybe you're right, maybe I'm right. I obviously think I'm right, and you think you're right. The reality is we don't know. And I think, whether this is Epstein or not, whether this is him or not, I don't think it matters. I think the bigger story here is that this picture is going viral, right? Nobody knows. Literally, nobody knows. MJ isn't alive. He wasn't an Assad to Mossad like Epstein was. They hated MJ because his power buying masters in the music industry killed. What? Who's MJ? What are we talking about, guys? Have I missed something? I don't know what that means. I think I've missed something. Who's MJ? Majestic 12? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Oh, right. Silly. Yeah, I did ask. So, Silly, I did ask earlier. I forgot. So, right. So, the street signs, I don't know what those street signs mean, but Silly's telling me what they say. You can Google translate the sign and see for yourself. I can't cut and paste that, Silly. I can't. What does it say? Tell us what it says, Silly. I believe you. Also in Israel, the street signs say the same in 3 languages. The bottom sign always says in English, but in Hebrew sometimes. Okay, so Silly, are you saying the street signs are off? Right, I think Silly's saying the street signs are off. But look, listen, guys, I mean, I don't speak Hebrew. I don't speak any Hebrew. You know, and I would speculate most people that are looking at these images don't speak Hebrew either, and read Hebrew as well. So, you know, goes back to my original point. I don't think it. I think the real story here is, if this is AI, which, you know, it looks like Silly at least thinks it is. Look how much controversy it's caused already. Look how much people are, you know, people are throwing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. I don't think it matters. I think what really matters is how wild things are getting with AI, right? How wild things are getting with AI. And Silly is saying the signs are very off. Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Silly. I didn't realize. I didn't realize. So we are looking like it could be a fake. You know, it could be a fake. And I don't want to be that guy, right, who's trying to, like, you know, because I don't want to be that guy who's trying to, like, go down like conspiracy roads that are really not there. I think the most likely option, you know, the most likely thing would be, you know, he isn't alive. All right. You know, that's what I think the most likely thing is. He isn't alive. However, it is 2026. The world is absolutely bonkers. All right. If he was alive, right, and he had been pictured somewhere, a good way to debunk it, right, would literally just be to release a load of AI generated images of Epstein walking around, and people then debunk it, like, you know, like I think we've done here. And then when the real images surface, people say, oh yeah, it's just AI. You see how that works? Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking. Lewis Ackers is saying, with British yellow plates, yeah, faked indeed. Listen, if it is, listen, isn't it right? Okay, let's just say it is a fake. And, you know, I'll be quite clear, I don't know. Let's just say it is a fake. Hang on, let me get it up. Okay. Well, they're not British plates. That one there on the left's not British. I don't know what the plates are like in Tel Aviv. Hang on a minute. Right. Again, you know, there's going to be a lot of people who think that, well, I don't, look, guys, I'm still pleading the fifth. I don't know. I'm not, I mean, I know people are saying there's a lot of arguments that this picture's not real. I don't speak Hebrew, but Silly on here said that the writing's off and it doesn't make sense. Whether it is or it isn't, I think, you know, the main thing is it's wild. People may think it's real. What's coming next? I think that's my next, you know, I think that's my point on this, right? What's coming next? What when AI manages to use Google Street View, right? Where AI thinks, right, okay, I need to do a photorealistic image. So Google AI decides to go on to Google Street View, right? AI is like, right, I'm going to go on to Google Street View because this and how wild is this that this can happen right now? You know, right, I'm going to go on to Google Street View. I'm going to get the images from, I'm going to regenerate the image, photorealistic from Google Street View. I'm then going to insert these people into it. Then what do you do? Literally, then what? Then how do you debunk that one? Literally, how do you debunk that one? It's going to be very difficult. I mean, at some point, we will not be able to tell the difference. At some point, we will not be able to debunk these pictures. Sharon be saying, if it's a fake, an original photo has been used and enhanced. I don't know. Maybe it has, maybe it isn't. Gone Commando is saying it was good. It was good. I don't know what that means. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the second thing I want to talk about this morning is there are almost 20,000 illegal migrants. In fact, are they illegal? I think they're illegal. They've got to be illegal. Refugees, sorry. No. Not migrants, refugees. So I don't know how many illegal migrants there are, but an article was out this morning from the BBC. Almost 20,000, 20,000 homeless refugees in England alone. 20,000. Now, I can only assume they're living in, I mean, the BBC's got a picture of like tents on the side of a road somewhere. So I can only assume they're living in, tented cities or whatever. Now, just think about this, guys. Where does this go? Like, let's develop this in our brains, okay? Let's see where this leads to, right? That number's only going to grow. It's only going to, the more every boat that comes over, that number will grow inevitably. I'm not saying that each and every boat migrant is going to end up homeless. What I'm saying is a percentage will. And when we're talking about the numbers that are coming into the country right now, look, I talked about this yesterday. I'm just going to, when you're doing an analysis, when you're going into a negotiation, when you are, whether that's a business negotiation, a political negotiation, whether it's, the Iranians right now, the Iranians and the Americans, I think they're having negotiations in Oman. Beautiful country, Oman. I've spent like a lot of time in Oman. Beautiful country. Anyway, there's these negotiations between Iran and the United States. The first thing that they will do, they will find common ground. They will find, right, okay, we disagree on all this. What do we agree on? And they'll find something and they'll try and make that work, right? That's what you do in a negotiation. Similar system when you're doing analysis, right? You try and find something that you can actually answer. Sean, when are the aliens coming? God knows. Right. Okay. So what questions can I answer? Well, I know when this asteroid's coming, anyway. So do we think things are going to get better or worse in the United Kingdom? Well, I think they're going to get worse. Why? Well, the only real question I can answer definitively, and nobody can argue it, is does the British government have the capacity to remove everybody that's here? Does the British government have the capacity to remove everybody that's here? I would say not, and I don't think they have. I mean, we're talking about millions, right? And I don't think, does anybody think that the British government have the ability to remove millions of people from our shores? I don't think they do. Give me a second, guys. Hang on. Sarah's just sent me this. Hang on, let me read it to you. So some breaking Epstein news from 20 minutes ago. Mystery inmate entered Epstein prison area on the night he died. Files contradict official account. Newly released Epstein files have revealed investigators believe a prisoner appeared to access the area where the notorious, the word I can't say, was locked up on the night of his death. Hidden among the files released last Friday by the DOJ, the report appears to contradict the official account of what happened to Jeffrey Epstein in his final hours. Officially, Epstein was reported to have died by self-deletion sometime after 6:30 a.m. on August the 10th, 2019, when he was found by a corrections officer. To this day, no official time of death has been determined, as 2 of the cameras outside his cell had been malfunctioned. Like, really? Malfunctioning cameras? Really? So it does appear that there's new evidence out that another inmate entered where Epstein was at that time. Look, whether you think Epstein self-deleted himself or was self-deleted, the mysteries just keep going. You know, and people are spending a lot of time on this, right? I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care anymore. I'm more interested about, like, why are they talking about aliens and resurrection chambers? Why are they talking, why is nobody going crackers about? I spoke to my dad again. I spoke to my dad about it. I said to him the other day, he was dropping some wood off. I'm like, yeah, so Dad, it's the first time I've spoke to him on the phone, but yesterday was the first time I've seen him about it. I said, yeah, so Dad, like, aliens. He's like, no, it's bollocks. I said, what? He said, no, I don't believe that. I said, what do you mean you don't believe it? No, I just don't believe it. I said, hang on a minute. So all the other stuff that was released in the Epstein files, you believe that? Yep. But the aliens, no. Nope. You can't argue, and we really are in this weird, like, part of history where you've got, like, people who just don't care about this stuff. I mean, look, guys, the fundamental question, are we alone in the universe? It's the biggest question that humanity has ever asked. That's the only question as far as I'm concerned. Are we alone in the universe? And then you build from that, right? Whether we're alone in the universe or whether we're not, whether we are or we are not, both are equally as terrifying. Absolutely. Both are equally as terrifying. And the fact that there was so much blatant information about this in the Epstein files. And then what's her name? Donald Trump's daughter, I can't remember her name. Laura, is it Laura? Lorna? I don't know. She was saying, I saw a video of her. I was going to share it, but I might do it. I might do another video midday. I was going to share that video, but she's saying that her dad has got a big announcement to make. Again, it could be nothing. It could be nothing. Right, let's jump back to this, guys, okay? So in England, there's news out this morning that just under 20,000, the number of homeless refugees in England soars to just under 20,000. Now, obviously, all these people are peaceful because they're fleeing war-torn countries like France. All these people are they're peaceful. They just want to get along. They don't want to commit crime. They want to work. They want to pay taxes, and they want to conform to, they want to assimilate into British culture, right? So how many more do we think it's going to take of these people that are homeless, living on the streets, living in tents, living in woods, living I don't know where? How many more of those people? Let's say that's your infantry, right? You know what? That is literally comparable to the infantry that we have in the United Kingdom. So let's just say this 20,000 is your infantry. These are going to be your fighters. How long before they think, yeah, you know what? I'm sick of living in this tent. I'm going to go and take myself a house. And you know what? If I take a house, I've got nothing right now. If I take a house and live in it, the worst thing that's going to happen to me is I'm going to get put in another house with 4 walls, 3 meals a day, heating, so where's the incentive for these people that are living homeless not to be in jail? Because it does seem like, jail is a step up. Jail would be a step up. Jail would be a step up from the streets, right? Oh, you're in jail. Yep, you're in your room. You're in your dry room with your blankets, with your warm blankets, and you get your 3 meals a day, but you're in jail. Oh, God, right. Where did you come from? Oh, I was living in a tent and foraging for nuts and berries. Oh, God, yeah, that. But I was free. But I was free. Debbie Doobs is saying, have you heard how much money is going to take to repair Houses of Parliament? No, I have not, but I would suspect anytime I hear these big repair bills, anytime you hear this, you've got to think like what else is being done, because normally they may be building a bunker under there or something, or I don't know. They may be building something else underneath that. I don't know. Gun Commando is saying to contemplate the universe is to piss into the wind, drive low riders, bang hoes, and smoke. Right, okay, that's ridiculous. Listen, I'll have you know, we have an intellectual channel, right? We have an intellectual channel. Oh, Mike Millman is saying we are not alone on Earth, let alone the universe. I think the theory. So Mike Millman is. So we're talking about are we alone on the universe? We're going on a little bit of a side quest, guys, but don't worry, it's fine. Mike is saying we're not alone on Earth, let alone the universe. So there's a lot. The theory goes right. The theory goes that the Atlanteans fled to Antarctica 11,500 years ago. Now, if that's true, and there was, I mean, if you watch some of Graham Hancock's stuff, right? If you watch some of Graham Hancock's stuff, he talks about like ancient technologically advanced civilizations, were here hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now, if there was, let's just go wild, all right? Let's just say wild. Okay, let's just say, right? Totally wild. Let's just say 20,000 years ago, right? Aliens came down and made a colony on Earth, right? Let's just pretend that happened. Total conspiracy, right? 20,000 years ago, aliens landed on Earth and made a colony, right? Let's just say it was like Western Mauritania or something. I don't know. Western Mauritania in like a big city. I don't know. Whatever. It's well documented that there was a huge cataclysm 11,500 years ago. So let's just say that colony had to flee. They had to flee. And for whatever reason, they go on the radio and they're like, lads, listen, you guys need to come and pick us up. Like, oh, mate, I can't get to you. You're going to have to sort yourselves out. So they said, right, okay, where do we flee to? And they're like, well, go to the South Pole. You'll be pretty safe there. So they all fled to Antarctica 11,500 years ago. Let's say they were massively let's just say they were technologically advanced and they had combustion engines 11,500 years ago, right? How do you think that, where do you think that technology is advanced in 11,500 years? Look at our technology, how it's advanced in the last 100 years, 200 years. It's ridiculous. Do you think you could explain a smartphone to a Victorian, Duke? Absolutely not. Not a chance. Roxanne is saying, didn't the Sumerians record it on their clay tablets? I'd rather believe them than what we're taught at school. I don't know. Can you give more context, Roxanne, please? I don't know where you're going with that. Right, listen, guys. I love aliens. I do. I love talking about the aliens. Right? Can we leave the aliens until tonight? Because I do want to focus on this picture of Epstein that is allegedly Jeffrey Epstein that's alive. Although from you guys, it does look like the picture is getting. It does look like it is getting debunked. Oh, Kristen is saying, just drive around the country and see how many millions of new houses are being built. Tells you that the illegals are being planned to stay. Absolutely. I don't think I don't think these people are. I don't think these people are. I don't think these. I don't think the plan is for these people to leave. I think the plan is for us. I think the plan is for the native Brits to leave to Antarctica and go live with the aliens. That's what I think. That's what I think. Right, listen, guys. Let's jump back on track, okay? Because I mean, in the heading to this live stream, civil war is already inevitable. And what I mean by that is the critical mass now of people that should not be in the United Kingdom. It's already been achieved. It's already going to be it's going to be practically impossible to get rid of the numbers that are needed to bring things back to a sustainable level, right? Every day, well, maybe not every day, but every week at least, more people turn up. Those people are a net loss to look, guys, you can argue that politicians are a net loss as well. These people are a net loss. They're costing us money. They're putting taxes up. They're putting the cost of living up. They are making, look, I was talking to my friend the other day he sent me, you know, when it was out on the news that the countryside has to become less white. So my friend is wild. So my friend in Ukraine sent me a link to that. He said, Sean, is this real? Anyway, there's a bit of a story behind it, and we were just laughing about it. He's saying, so they come to Britain and you have to pay for them, and now you're not allowed to walk dog in countryside. I was like, yeah, mate, when you say it out loud like that, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. What? So James is saying a tunneling machine can create 17 meters of tunnel a day. Very quiche. What's quiche? I don't know what quiche is. Very quiche and easy built bunkers, but very expensive. And the cutting machines put tiles on the walls whilst cutting. It's quite amazing. Are you talking about the money that's been spent to refurbish Parliament? I don't know where that's coming from. Can you hear the dripping? Can you hear the dripping? Fiona is saying the protocols of the learned elders of Zion show us just how evil and godless our rulers are. Fiona, you're going to have to, guys, listen, you guys are going to all have to come back. You're all going to have to come back on the, you're all going to have to come back at 8 o'clock tonight, guys, because it's getting a bit wild. It is getting a bit wild. Gone Commando is saying, I'm top 10% Neanderthal according to 23andMe. We were talking about this last night, right? We were talking about this mass troll for DNA that happened round about like 2004, 2005, Ancestry.com, 23andMe. Everybody's sending their DNA in. And James is saying we still can't figure out how they built the pyramids. Oh, I think we're talking about the tunnels. And Danielle, right, guys, this is going to be the last comment, and then I'm going to jump back to I'm going to give a synopsis of what we've been talking about in the live stream, and then I'll be closing this down. So, Danielle Prince is saying, "What beautiful!" Oh, Daniel Prince, what beautiful name, Daniel Prince. Are you like Daniel Prince? Are you like an I feel like you're an aristocrat. Are you an aristocrat? Anyway, I'm in Anglesey, North Wales. Probably not an aristocrat. Is this civil war going to be more concentrated in cities and towns, or would it happen everywhere? Good question. Good question. I think the worst places, so this is my speculation, analysis, opinion, of course, for entertainment purposes. I would say the cities are going to be the epicenters. They're going to be the worst places, right? They're built up. There's high densities. It's going to be bad in the cities. I think there's also, and I've been saying this for quite a while, there's also this is where I think I think you're going to see this incident pretty soon. You're going to see an incident where a small village out in the countryside, a long way from help, is going to get absolutely ransacked. I think that's coming. We've seen some of the things that people are planning. Like there was the biggest terror attack ever planned on British soil, foiled, and all the information came. I think it was foiled in like 2022 or something. There was like years of undercover work, maybe like 6 years of undercover. You're going to have to Google this. But this was a planned attack using assault rifles, explosives, multiple attackers, and it was foiled. So what we do know that the Iranians have many sleeper cells operating in the United Kingdom from that interview. So I think that the indirect response to your question, I think the place will, cities will be concentrated hubs. They always are. Like smaller towns and villages, they're kind of more vulnerable because they won't have that police force there. For example, the police will be concentrated, right, in the cities because that's where most of the crime is. But if there's a planned raid by whatever group, to a little village, a little town out, a long way away from anyone, then it's going to be virtually impossible for anyone to get there and like re-support them. Or it will, but it will take a long time. Boggy is saying civil war when your refugees are contributing to your economy. Have you lost it? We've pretty much lost our country. How are refugees contributing to our economy? And then they're not my refugees. They're not my president, not my refugees. So Boggy, no, I don't. Yes, I absolutely think that as well. We talk about refugees, we talk about asylum seekers, we talk about illegal migrants. I do think that's where it's going to kick off. You will see, Boggy, when it happens, good sir, you will... Hang on, Boggy, right? Right, Boggy, just a quick question. You know the Syrians that are fighting with the... the Syrians that are fighting with the Kurds in Manchester? Can you tell me how that's enriching the people of Manchester? Can you just let me know how those... So that right now, we have Syrian refugees fighting pitched battles in Manchester. It's called the Curry War. It's called the Curry War. Go and Google it. It's called the Curry War. So, Boggy, can you tell me how they're contributing to our economy? I'm contributing. Yeah. If you let me know, Boggy, how they're contributing, that would be great. So it's a police matter. Oh. So it's I don't know what, Boggy, I don't know what that means. Boggy, I don't know what that means. So we're saying that I don't know what that means. So it's a police matter. So my question to you, Boggy, was how are the Syrian refugees, and this is just one example, right? I can go Leicester, I can go Birmingham, I can talk about stuff that's happening in Sheffield. So Boggy, my direct question is, how are the Syrian refugees that are fighting with the Kurdish refugees in Manchester, how are they contributing? Like, where's the contribution there? And your response is, so it's a police matter. I don't understand, mate. I don't understand. Try conflict solving, much cheaper than a civil war. No, I agree. I will solve this conflict, right, by sending them all home. All go back to your countries of origin. Conflict solved. Conflict solved. That's it. Done. Finished. Over. Go back. Go and have your wars in another country. Conflict solved. Done. Raven reigns supreme again. Raven reigns supreme again. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. I'm going to close this down now. You see, one of the problems here is, like, people get fixated between and confused between refugees, asylum seekers, illegal migrants, and you get people arguing. Oh, no, the refugee. Oh, yeah, you know. It's very difficult because people get caught up in definitions. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I'm going to close this down now. You guys are fantastic, beautiful, articulate. Is Epstein still alive? I don't know. Is Epstein still alive? I've no idea. I've no idea if Epstein's still alive. There's a picture going around the internet saying that Epstein's alive. He's got a beard and the thing. I don't know. Some of you guys have debunked it. What I think the real story here is how realistic it looks and how people really don't know. And I think at some point, maybe we're there already, at some point, pictures are going to be released that are going to be AI and we're going to be told they're real. Equally, pictures are going to get released and they're going to be real and we are going to be told that they are AI. So we're in a wild time, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot even believe our eyes anymore. We can't. Unless we see it physically ourselves, then who knows? Anyway, guys, I'm going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. I'll be back on in the afternoon if there's any breaking news, and I will be back on tonight at 8. Remember, guys, it's a Friday. It's a Friday, and World War III is supposed to start on Sunday. So I don't know. Maybe you want to have like that kebab or something. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later.